Okay, let's be real for a sec. Nobody actually enjoys dealing with bills, right?
Right.
I mean, those stacks of envelopes or the endless email notifications,
Yeah.
they can really totally kill your vibe.
Yeah.
It feels like you're constantly on this hamster wheel just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And the second you think you've caught up, bam, there's another wave coming at you.
Totally.
Ever feel like you're just kind of stuck in that monthly bill cycle? Always scrambling.
Definitely.
So what if I told you there was a surprisingly simple way to actually break free from this whole monthly scramble?
Really?
What if you could just pay all your bills just once a year? Boom, done.
That feeling of being trapped in that monthly bill cycle, it's definitely something I know all too well. And it's not even just about the money,
Right?
It's like the mental and emotional energy that it just drains from you.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or trying to manage a small business on top of everything else.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like every month you're just kind of holding your breath,
Right.
hoping that everything's going to line up.
Totally.
I remember when I was juggling a million part-time gigs just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And I literally had to haggle over my phone bill while eating ramen noodles for every single meal.
Oh, wow.
I was so stressed about just making ends meet, and that constant bill anxiety was a huge part of it.
It's such a perfect example of how that whole juggling act can just completely sabotage your sense of financial well-being, You're
Yeah.
so busy putting out fires that you can't even see the bigger picture,
Totally.
let alone plan for the future.
Oh, and sometimes those fires, they get a little out of control.
For sure.
I will never forget that time I totally spaced on paying my internet bill.
Oh, no.
In the middle of a Zoom meeting, poof, internet's gone.
Oh, my God.
Talk about embarrassing.
That's the worst.
And it definitely did not help my productivity that day.
No, not at all. We've all had those moments, though.
Right.
But they really highlight why it's so important to find a system that takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
It's about creating that financial breathing room.
Exactly.
And that is where this concept of paying bills annually comes in.
Okay.
I know it might sound a little radical,
Yeah.
but trust me, it can be a total game changer.
Okay. I'm intrigued, but I got to admit, paying everything up front, that feels a little daunting.
Sure.
Where do you even begin with something like that?
Well, it's all about breaking it down into manageable steps.
Okay. Yeah.
First things first, you got to figure out what your total annual cost is.
Right.
So go through all your recurring bills, rent or mortgage, utilities, subscriptions, insurance, the whole 9 yards.
Okay. Yeah.
Multiply each of those by 12, and that gets you your yearly cost. And that's your target, your one-time payment goal.
So instead of doing that monthly dance of paying bills, you're aiming for one big push at the beginning of the year. Like ripping off a Band-Aid, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And think about what that does for your mental space.
Yeah.
No more scrambling to make payments, no more late fees.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine a whole year without having to constantly worry about those bills. That's what we call financial peace of mind.
That does sound kind of amazing.
Right.
But let's be real. Not everyone has a pile of cash just sitting around waiting to be thrown at bills.
Right.
So how do you actually make this work in the real world?
That's where strategic budgeting comes in.
Okay.
You start by setting aside a small amount every single month, even if it's just 10 or 20 bucks.
Yeah.
Consistency is key here.
Yeah.
Think of it as a future you fund, dedicated specifically to those annual bills.
I love that, emphasizing starting small. It makes this whole thing feel a lot less overwhelming.
Yeah.
I actually tried something similar a while back. I started by just prepaying a couple bills, like my streaming subscriptions and my car insurance.
That's a fantastic first step. How did it feel getting those off your plate for the year?
Honestly, it was a little awkward at first, calling up those companies and asking about annual payment options.
Yeah.
But once those bills were taken care of, it was pure relief.
Yeah.
It really hit me that I had way more control over my finances than I realized.
Absolutely. And did you know that you can often negotiate a discount when you pay up front?
Actually, yes. When I called to prepay my internet bill,
Oh, nice.
I was ready for a fight, I was ready to go to battle,
Right.
but they were surprisingly receptive.
Wow.
They ended up giving me a pretty significant discount for paying a year in advance. It felt like winning the lottery.
Exactly. We get so used to that monthly billing cycle that we forget that we even have other options. And challenging that status quo, it can really pay off. Literally. Yeah.
And that's what this is all about, breaking free from that cycle and finding a system that truly serves you.
So for our listeners who are ready to just ditch the monthly bill stress and embrace this whole like annual payment approach, what are some like key takeaways or those like first steps they can take?
Well, start by taking a close look at your budget
Okay.
and see which bills actually make sense to pay annually. You
Right.
don't have to go all in right away,
Yeah,
right?
of course not.
Start with one or two, get comfortable with the process,
Yeah.
and gradually expand from there.
So it's all about finding a rhythm that works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't about adding more stress. It's about simplifying your financial life and creating more breathing room.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And remember, this shift from like monthly to yearly payments, it's not just about saving money.
Right.
It's about reclaiming your time, your energy, your mental well-being. It's about creating a life where you're not constantly chasing due dates. It's about taking control of your finances and freeing yourself from that constant worry.
And once you've achieved that sense of financial stability, think about what you can actually do with that newfound freedom.
Yeah.
Like, what goals or dreams can you finally pursue?
Uh,
What would life look like without that weight of bills constantly hanging over your head?
Now that is a question worth pondering.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we'll be exploring in more depth when we come back.
Sounds good.
We'll dive into the nuances of this approach,
Okay.
share some more practical tips,
Great.
and even tackle some potential challenges, so stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. We've been like really diving deep into this whole idea of ditching the monthly bill cycle and like embracing the power of annual payments.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling inspired,
Good.
but I know some of our listeners might be out there thinking, okay, this sounds great in theory, but what about those like unexpected life events?
Right.
You know, the curveballs that just totally throw your budget off track.
Oh, absolutely. That's a fantastic point.
Yeah.
Life is full of surprises.
Right.
And sometimes those surprises come with a pretty hefty price tag.
For sure.
But even with those unexpected expenses, this annual payment approach can still totally work.
Okay.
It's all about building in some flexibility and having a strategy for navigating those like bumps in the road, you know?
So how do you actually handle those unexpected costs when you're committed to paying everything like once a year?
Remember that dedicated savings account we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The one for your annual bills?
Right.
Well, that can also act as a buffer for those unforeseen expenses.
Oh.
It becomes your financial safety net.
Ah, so it's like a 2-for-1 deal.
Exactly.
You're saving for your planned annual expenses, but also building a cushion for those just-in-case moments.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's say, like, your car suddenly needs a major repair.
Oh.
Or a medical bill you weren't expecting, like, pops up.
Right.
Instead of panicking and throwing your whole financial plan out the window, you can dip into that savings account to cover the cost.
Okay.
It's about having a plan B,
Yeah.
a reserve that allows you to stay on track with your annual payments while still handling those like unexpected curveballs.
Okay. So that takes a lot of the anxiety out of the equation.
Right.
It's like having that financial cushion to absorb those unexpected blows.
Exactly. It's about creating that sense of financial security and peace of mind, knowing you have a system in place to handle whatever life throws at you.
Like that.
And here's another tip for staying adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
When you're first starting out with this approach, you don't have to go all in right away.
Right.
Remember we talked about starting small?
Yeah.
Maybe choose like 1 or 2 bills to prepay annually and see how it feels.
Right. Easing into it. It's like a test drive for your finances.
Exactly.
When I first dipped my toes into this whole annual payment thing,
Yeah.
I started with my internet and streaming subscriptions.
Nice.
I figured those were relatively low risk, and it felt amazing to just have them off my mind for the entire year.
Yeah. Small wins build momentum.
It's true.
And as you gain experience and confidence, you can gradually add more bills to your annual plan.
Right.
You're in control of the pace.
You know, we've been talking a lot about like the practical nuts and bolts of this strategy,
Yeah.
but I'm also curious about the psychological impact, you know?
Yeah.
What does it actually feel like to break free from that constant pressure of monthly bills?
Imagine waking up every single day knowing that you've already handled your major financial obligations for the year.
Wow.
It's incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
It's a feeling of freedom and control that permeates your entire life, you know? You're no longer reacting to due dates. You're
Yeah.
proactively managing your finances.
Wow, that's a powerful image. It's
Yeah.
like you've gained this like incredible sense of financial clarity and
Right.
peace of mind knowing that those bills are just taken care of.
Exactly. And that newfound clarity allows you to shift your focus to other important areas of your life.
Yeah.
Pursuing your passions, nurturing your relationships.
Simply enjoying the present moment.
It's not just about the money, it's about reclaiming your time,
Exactly.
your energy, and your mental well-being.
For sure.
It's about creating space for the things that truly matter.
Absolutely. Think about how much time and mental energy you currently dedicate each month to like managing, tracking, and worrying about bills.
Oh, so much.
It's like this constant low-grade hum of stress just in the background.
Ugh, I know it all too well. It's exhausting.
Imagine redirecting all that mental bandwidth towards something that brings you joy,
Okay.
moves you closer to your goals.
Right.
Like, what could you accomplish if you weren't constantly weighed down by that bill-paying pressure?
That's a mind-blowing shift in perspective.
Isn't it?
So you've suddenly unlocked this hidden reserve of time and energy.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of this approach.
Yeah.
By simplifying your financial life,
Right.
you create this like ripple effect of positive change across all areas of your life. I love how you frame this as like a holistic transformation, not just a budgeting trick.
Yeah.
It's about creating a lifestyle that prioritizes peace of mind and empowers you to live more intentionally.
Exactly. It's about aligning your finances with your values
Right?
and creating a life that reflects what truly matters to you.
Well, you've certainly given me a lot to think about.
Good.
I'm already envisioning a future where I'm not constantly stressed about bills,
Right.
where I can focus on my passions and goals without that financial weight holding me back.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Breaking free from the limitations of that traditional monthly cycle and designing a financial system that works for you,
exactly.
not against you.
And I bet our listeners are feeling that spark of possibility too.
I hope so.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to add?
Sure.
Any final words of wisdom for those who are ready to embark on this like financial adventure?
My advice is simple. Start small, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to experiment. The beauty of this approach is that it's incredibly customizable.
Right.
You can tailor it to your unique circumstances and preferences.
That's so empowering. It reminds us that we have the power to shape our own financial destinies.
Totally.
We don't have to settle for the status quo. We can create a financial life that supports our dreams and aspirations.
Absolutely.
And once you experience that freedom and peace of mind that comes with paying your bills annually, you'll wonder why you didn't do it sooner.
For sure.
Trust me, it's a game changer.
It really is.
Well said.
Eh.
We'll be back after a short break with some final thoughts and actionable steps to help you get started on your journey towards financial liberation. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. We've been exploring this fascinating idea of shifting from that traditional monthly bill cycle to a system where you pay everything once a year.
Right.
It might seem a little unconventional,
Sure.
but as we've been discussing, the potential benefits are huge, not just for your bank account,
Right.
but for your overall well-being. Absolutely. It's like a fundamental shift in mindset.
Yeah.
Moving away from that reactive mode of constantly chasing due dates
Right.
and embracing a more proactive approach where you're in the driver's seat of your financial life,
It's like taking back control. Right.
Exactly.
Instead of feeling like you're at the mercy of those bills,
Yeah.
you're making a conscious choice to manage them on your terms.
Absolutely. And as we've discussed, this shift isn't just about crunching numbers.
Right.
It's about transforming your relationship with money.
I like that.
It's about reclaiming your mental and emotional energy, freeing yourself from that constant weight of bills hanging over your head.
Think about it.
Yeah.
When you eliminate that monthly stress of payments,
Right?
you create space for new possibilities to emerge.
Totally.
It's like clearing out the clutter
Yeah.
to make room for fresh ideas and inspiration.
Exactly. Instead of feeling weighed down by financial obligations, you can direct that energy towards the things that truly matter. Your passions, your relationships, your personal growth.
It's about aligning your finances with your values and creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
Absolutely.
So for our listeners who are ready to take the plunge, to break free from that monthly grind,
Yeah.
and embrace this annual payment strategy, what are those first steps they can take?
Sure.
What does this look like in action?
The first step is simple, but it's crucial.
Okay.
Take a deep breath and remind yourself that you are capable of making this change.
Love it.
It might feel a little overwhelming at first,
Right.
but remember, you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Start by choosing one or two bills that you feel comfortable prepaying annually.
Okay, so it's all about finding that entry point, that area where you feel confident taking that first step.
Exactly.
And once you've identified those bills,
Yeah,
reach out to the providers and ask about their annual payment options.
totally.
You might be surprised by how many companies are open to this and even offer discounts for paying up front.
Absolutely, and don't be afraid to negotiate.
Yes.
As we discussed earlier, you have more leverage than you think,
Right.
especially when you're offering to pay for an entire year of service.
Totally.
Be clear about your intention to switch to an annual payment plan.
Okay.
And don't hesitate to highlight the benefits for both parties.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a conversation, a collaboration.
And if you encounter any resistance, don't give up. You're in control of your finances,
Totally.
and you have the right to choose a payment method that aligns with your goals.
That's such an important point.
Right.
It's about empowering yourself to make informed financial decisions that serve your best interests.
Yeah. And as you gain experience and confidence, you can gradually expand your annual payment plan to include more bills,
Exact.
ultimately freeing yourself from that monthly scramble altogether.
Imagine that feeling of liberation, no more juggling due dates, no more late fees, no more of that constant nagging worry about bills.
It's a complete game changer.
It really is.
And the best part is, this strategy is accessible to anyone,
Yes.
regardless of their income level or financial background.
It's not about how much money you make.
Right.
It's about adopting a proactive mindset
Yeah.
and designing a financial system that supports your overall well-being.
It's about taking control of your finances and creating a life where money is no longer a source of stress,
Exactly.
but a tool that empowers you to live a more fulfilling and intentional life.
So take that first step today and let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
We're so excited for you to embark on this journey towards financial freedom.
And remember, as you free yourself from the weight of bills,
Yeah.
ask yourself, what will you do with that newfound time and energy?
Exactly.
What dreams will you pursue?
Oh, I like that.
What possibilities will you unlock? The sky is the limit.
On that note, we'll wrap up this episode of Life Unfiltered.
Yes.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and practical tools to transform your approach to finances.
For sure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep living life on your own terms.
See ya.